This is a HeadGum podcast.
Thanks for tuning into this Black Girl Nerds podcast extra, talking about the movie Wonder Woman. Just released this weekend. We decided to have a roundtable discussion. We're talking about everything, and we are going in on this movie. This roundtable features myself, Jamie, as well as panelists Mel, KB, and Leo. Take a listen. Welcome to this BGM podcast extra. Anytime a big movie comes out that is causing lots of waves on social media, we have to do a podcast dedicated to it. So this week we are talking about Wonder Woman, which broke box office records in terms of having a female director at the helm. Made over $100 million this weekend, and we've got some thoughts about it. We've got some opinions. So very happy to have here on this podcast roundtable of Wonder Woman, we have Mel, KB, and Leo. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Yay. This is Leo's first time on the BGM podcast. Welcome to our podcast space.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm popping my BGN cherry. Is that what's happening?
I think that's what's happening right now. Awesome. Okay. So Wonder Woman came out this weekend. A lot of folks were hyped up about it. What was your takeaways seeing the movie this weekend? What were some things that were the highlight of the film for you? Let's start on a positive note.
Okay.
I'll start. For me, I thought Wonder Woman by far is one of the better DC EU movies that I've seen in a long time. I know that's saying a lot, but it really was. In terms of story, I thought the story was fantastic. I really liked the way it was developed through and through. The action was very well done. It didn't look cheesy. The fight choreography was really well done. So whether the actresses did a lot of training or they just had really great stunt doubles, they really made it look flawless in terms of editing, and it just looked really good seeing those fight sequences. And the performances were very compelling. Gal Gadot, she killed it. She really did. She's amazing. And I know that there was some speculation when she was first cast, like, is she really going to be able to do this? But she did the damn thing, and I was happy to see her hold it down. And I really loved the chemistry she had with Chris Pine. Overall, like, I really saw some really cool things about the film that I liked. And it was good and refreshing to walk away from a DC movie and be like, wow, I really enjoyed that. I haven't had that experience in a long time. Those were my positives about the movie.
I'll go next. So I thought that the movie was really beautifully shot. Like, for me, I really loved the way Patty did the cinematography. I mean, I thought it looked gorgeous. It looked stunning. Every single shot. Everyone here knows my heart for Chris Pine. So naturally, I loved Chris in the movie. I would have to agree with you, Jamie. Like, I think the chemistry between him and Gal, it was really great. She did a phenomenal job, like, obviously, as Wonder Woman. And I knew that she would, just based on her performance in Batman versus Superman.
Right.
Because for me, she was the best part of Batman versus Superman, and she was only in it for probably 10 minutes. So I think that she lived up to it wholeheartedly. I loved seeing the mascara.
Yes.
The women there, the Amazonian women, were so fierce. And I think it was a combination of, like, having the actors trained really hard and giving it their all, in addition to having really great stunt doubles. But I will say that, like, Robin Wright, I, like, barely even recognized her, but she did an incredible job. Incredible job. So I loved those things about it. I mean, obviously there are some plot holes. I did like the fight scenes. I did. Some of them, most of them, maybe not the ones with Ares, but
the first act fight scenes were on point. The third act, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll say that I love the movie. I did. I believed all the hype and I just ran away with it. I think probably Themyscira was my favorite part. I love that island. I want to live on that island. I just
Me too.
That movie could have been all about that island and I would have been ecstatic. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. Why would you want to leave? The world sucks. Don't leave this place. It's beautiful. Let me see. Diana was awesome. So much better than I thought she would be. So much more relatable than some of the other heroes we've seen so far in this universe. She actually likes being a hero. I'm like, wow, look at that. Man, that's new. What else? There's something. Oh, Chris Pine's facial expressions. I just love his facial expressions. They're just... He doesn't actually have to say a word.
You were looking at his face? I was looking at something else, but okay, go ahead, proceed. That tub scene? Okay, go ahead.
You're looking at his watch? His watch?
Yes, I was looking at his watch. Yeah.
You're looking at his watch.
It was the classiest of watches.
It was a very nice watch. So, like, I like the overall message. It was very positive, and usually these movies aren't very positive. They really aren't. Even the Marvel movies aren't being positive anymore. Everything is negative. Everything is doom and gloom. And with this one, I'm like, since the election, everybody has been saying, like, love will bring us together. All we need is love and to love our fellow man and all this other bullshit. And usually that makes me see red. But then I saw this movie and I came out of it, you know what? Maybe all we do need is love. Maybe we can fix this world with love. And then I came back to my senses. But like for a minute, I believed it afterwards. I'm like, all we need is love. I'm with you, Diane. I'm with you. So yeah, overall, I loved it.
That's interesting. I mean, I think that's one of the most positive marks about this movie that like I can determine is that it is not dour. It is like, and I mean, for something taking place like during a war, it is a pretty upbeat movie. Even in small things, like one of the things that really touched me weirdly, which is a total throwaway kind of aspect of the movie, is Diana's treatment of Ewan Bremner's character. Mm-hmm. Of like how like, you know, when she notices he's singing while playing, and then she's like, you got to be around like while you're singing. I thought that was like so sweet and intimate. That was like this thing where it's like this, she is a fish out of water, yet she recognizes the humanity in somebody and like doesn't want him to feel bad about himself. I thought that was like rather powerful and unusual. Like that was a really specific type of, a note of empathy for a hero character that like, I mean, was quite profound. And the movie overall is upbeat. I agree totally. I think Gal Gadot, as a presence, delivered. She did. She totally delivered. That is not a criticism I would levy at the movie. I agree with you all as well that like I kind of wanted to stay on that island for a minute. I almost feel like they left it too quick. You left that island a little too fast. But I really enjoyed like my time with it. And I mean, this is maybe damning with faint praise, but I agree with, most everyone, which have been the positive as well as the negative critics, that this is clearly the best of the new DC films. No question.
Hands down. Yeah. And I also wanted to add, I really like the way they did her origin story. Like they really set that up well so we can get to know who Diana is, starting off with her as a child and, going through that training and all of that. So just great character development overall. I just thought it was really fantastic. So, cool. So yeah, what were some things that you took issue with?
Aries, and Aries.
You know what? I took issue with that entire storyline. I feel like the movie would have been stronger if they had either cut him out or changed his backstory so it was less like he was basically Lucifer and this was a retelling of the fall of man. Because that's basically what it is. I'm like, wouldn't Ares love man? I mean, wouldn't he be happy that man was warring and doing all this other crap? I feel like he would have been happy. But then they made it out to be like, Zeus was God and then Ares was Lucifer. And he's like, we need to get rid of the people. And then the Amazons are the angels. I'm like, wait a minute. None of this really makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, in Greek mythology, was Ares a bad god? I always thought the god of war was actually like a god that actually was positive. Like, I didn't see him as a villain in Greek
I don't
mythology.
really think any of them are good.
I don't
Yeah,
think
like he's supposed to occupy a
Aphrodite's
kind of
good.
energy.
well, I think
The goddess
all
of
the
love.
gods are.
they
No,
straddle.
but
I think they
Aphrodite's
straddle.
messed up because didn't
They
Aphrodite?
all.
Yeah,
They
like
all
they all like make mess ups. They all like
They're
make big
all-
mistakes.
Okay, so they're all
They
messy
all
gods.
straddle-
Okay.
Yeah, they all straddled the line between good and evil. It's kind of like the way
Exactly.
they're portrayed. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, I don't know. For me, though, I don't know. It just was not exciting to have, someone who was so close to Steve Trevor and his team be Ares. I was like, really? This is where this is
Well,
headed?
because that's what the devil does.
Right.
Gets
Right.
close
And
to you,
eventually
whispers
he's
in
the
your ear.
devil at your back. Right.
It felt like misplacedly epic, and especially now when we've been watching American Gods. Haven't seen the most recent episodes, so hold on that. But the idea of like American Gods being just gods of things, maybe not necessarily evil outright. The fact that they posed Ares as this kind of absolute evil, this Lucifer, like you're saying. I didn't even feel like it needed that, because if Ares really is the god of war and that's part of the film's narrative, there's another war coming up, so I don't really know how this fight matters if Ares is going to be, tangentially related to that. So that was a weird characterization. I totally agree.
It's so strange. I mean, you're the god of war without people. What the hell are you the god of? I mean,
Right.
Right.
He wasn't that compelling of a villain to me.
At all. At all.
no.
I was just like,
I
this
think,
British
but
dude
honest-
is... You know what I'm saying? Like, this British dude, he didn't do anything for me, so I don't know.
I mean,
Well, I
he
think-
was Lupin in Harry Potter. He was Lupin.
I think too, when you think about it though, I think that's where the DCEU struggles. Like, their villains are really not that compelling.
Except
at
for
all.
Bane. Bane is up there.
But I mean, especially
that
in the
doesn't
newer
count.
ones. Yeah, because I'm in the newer ones, for me, I still love Man of Steel, and I still, Zod is just okay to me. Still.
I like Zod.
So I'm he's not terrible, but he's just okay. For me, I'm I don't know. But he's definitely way better than Ares, because for me, I just was not.
I mean, Zod has a thing that he wants. I didn't get what Ares.
What does Ares want? Right.
He wants the people to be gone, just as Lucifer wants the people to be gone.
Yes, right? Yeah.
It makes no sense. It really doesn't. Yeah.
So we agree collectively that Ares was not needed. What do you think about that third act? That's the talk of social media. It seems like everybody had an issue with it. I mean, right off the bat, I don't know what happened. Did Zack Snyder hijack the set? Because that was all
Feels
him
like it.
in that.
Well, it was super dark, right? It went very, very Zack Snyder dark in the third act.
It was
and I
dark, and then the slow motion, and
Right.
the saturated cinematography, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Fire everywhere.
Yeah.
Copious CGI when the movie didn't really have a ton of it before that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just all CGI from that point forward. And
The bad armor. It's just.
yeah.
It was so unnecessary.
Yeah,
that last battle was so long.
it was.
So long. And then the villains that we had, thought were the villains for most of the movie, they were dispatched really easy. It was just 2 seconds and then they were gone. I don't even know what happened to Dr. Moreau. What happened to her? She ran. Did she die?
Well, I'm pretty sure she
question.
died because everything went up in flames. So, for me, eventually the entire thing burst into flames, and I don't think she could run that quickly.
But if
The
you
Watch
don't
survived.
see a
But who
character
knows?
die, they're probably
Right,
coming
then
back.
they're probably alive. Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But I don't know. The thing is though, is I went to see the movie with my youngest sister, and she had actually seen it the day before, but I still wanted to see her with her. And she loved it, except for in the third act, she was like, why is it that a man is the one that had to fuel this for her?
Right. No,
And I was like, that is a wonderful question, my little feminist. I don't.
That's not for me. I have many issues with this movie. Dr. Poison specifically. I feel like there are two things about her that really bother me. One is the thing you just described completely. I think the idea of having a central woman villain, which is relatively rare in these films, and then to have her be beholden to, like a two-dimensional brute who doesn't really like do a lot in the movie, to be honest, aside from like be the subject of her affections. In addition to that, and this is like a small thing, but it bothered me, and I'm curious to know how y'all felt when you saw it. This scene, the important scene, at the dinner party where Diana sneaks in.
Yeah. Where
they have that moment where like there's like a blast of energy. Dr. Poison's mask gets blown off. And okay, like that bothered me in a weird way. Like, one, because it gets blown off for no reason and of no import. Nothing happens. Just the fact that you see like this this thing is that one of the very interesting graphic design aspects of her character is this mask that she always has throughout it, which I thought was interesting. Like, it was very Phantom of the Opera, but it was characterful. It was meaningful. Like, I was like, oh, like I imagine that mask was there because she's damaged herself in the course of her experiments, but she still has some vanity, so she protects her face. And it gets blown off for no reason, nothing. Not for a meaningful thing, not because we were all wondering what was under there. Like, it didn't really matter. It's just blown off in that dinner party. And I was like, why would you make that character so vulnerable and then not even do anything with it? It has nothing to do with her development at all. I thought that was unnecessary. I would have appreciated her never having had her mask removed. That was her, her aspect of camouflage. That's what she decided for her character. And I felt it weird that they took that away from her. And you got to see her face. I don't know. It's kind of messed up. Like, it looked like some scarring, but it didn't tell anything.
I think they did it to make her look pitiful.
Well, do you think?
I don't like that. I think you're right.
Yeah, because Diana was about to crush her with the tank. And they're like, look at this pitiful woman on the floor. She's all damaged. Don't do it, Diana. Don't crush her with the tank.
I was going to say, I think they might have cut something out. Like, I think that they had a little bit more, and then they cut a scene out. Like, they deleted a scene.
It felt like there was something. If you were going to do that, you were going to do something with it.
Do you think that they were trying to be, like, metaphorical? Like, she's been exposed, and this is a way of showing that she's been exposed as a villain and doing it that way?
Well, I don't think so, because she was already
she's so known.
Villainous throughout the entire thing. I think it was trying to show that she has some humanity or something. I don't know.
I kind of understand what Leo's saying, though, because for me, for like one moment, I thought, are you trying to say that brilliant women can't be beautiful? Like, for 1 second.
Right.
I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, like, for 1 second. Because, I mean, she clearly is the most brilliant character in the film. Like, and I was like, is that what we're doing here? Like, are we, I hope that's not what we're doing. I hope they just deleted a scene.
No, combined with her beholdenness to the guy, I don't remember the guy's, Ludendorff, I think his name was.
Yeah,
like combining that like bizarre, meaningless vulnerability that occurs in that scene with the fact that she is so beholden to that dude. I didn't like how that all gelled and came together. Like, really, because otherwise, I agree. I did like her. I thought she was. I wanted to kind of know more about her. I wanted to play with her character a bit more, and I don't think they did.
You know, actually, that scene where Chris Pine hits on her, that fits in there, too. Well, hits on her / tries to win her over to his side.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Diana walks in, he's like, oh, I see where your eyes are. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so it was, I mean, they were kind of alluding to it because, yes. And then she was just like, of course, your eyes are taken away to someone more beautiful, was kind of what she was saying without saying it.
Right. Because she's sensitive. She's a sensitive genius.
Right. Good point. Any other issues that you guys took with the film?
I have so many issues.
I mean, one thing that bothered me, I had tweeted about this, and folks, comic book people, feel free to debate me, and I know you guys will. But I just felt like there could have been a moment and an opportunity for intersectionality to happen in this movie by mentioning Nubia, because she is a canon character. She did come from clay. She's Diana's twin sister. When she was molded as clay from Hippolyta, Diana was the white clay, Nubia was the black clay. So in that origin story, when she talks to Diana about how she came to be, it would have been nice to have mentioned Nubia. And I know that, there's timelines and New 52 and all of these alternate universes where, well, maybe that won't fit. but they could have taken some creative liberties, because creative liberties was taken in this film anyway, and they could have done something with Nubia's character. So I hope that they do something with that in the sequel, because this movie was, for the most part, super white. You know, white women everywhere get a chance to see themselves reflected incredibly well in this movie. But for us, we don't really see a whole lot of that. We see, I think, 3 black characters with speaking roles, and then like a couple of other black characters that don't speak at all.
Yeah, none of which are named, if I'm not correct.
No, you're correct. None
they
of
don't
them
have
are named.
names. No.
Yeah, that's particularly troublesome. And I mean, and like that was part of my damage with the Themyscira, like part of the movie, because God, there was like a part of me that's like watching this and I'm like, okay, so you have these like big, bold, beautiful Amazonian women who are black in this world, and is their main purpose there to show that Diana can kick their asses? Like, is that their time to shine in the movie? Just like in that fight scene she has where she's practicing and then like she kicks everybody's butt. And, like, I don't really think that's super progressive. Like, if you're just showing that they're there, but that Diana's still better than them, don't forget.
Right.
Like,
That's problematic. Like, really problematic.
And beyond, and on top of that, that they're not named, so they're unnamed black Amazons who are. I
mean, there's Artemis who was named, and then there's this. Yeah. She was just referred to as the senator. Yeah, she doesn't have a name behind senator. I think that was at least addressed in the movie. Okay. But yeah, Artemis and Senator. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, if the whole movie had been there, we could have explored that. But no, we had to leave the island.
Little too soon.
That's the thing. Like, I think if we did stay on the island, we could have learned more about these women. And I personally think it would have been a better film for me, a perfect film for me, if they did stay on that island a little bit more and just focus on these women and what their stories are and the interaction of, you know, how Diana develops her character throughout the years instead of just ripping her off and going into this next storyline. So many fans received that first act so well. So I hope that they at least go back there and extend it a little bit more when they do the sequel.
Yeah. I hope so.
I do too, because I don't really know that much about like Nubia, but I did read, I mean, like what you just said, I read that like obviously there are different versions and they chose not to use that version of the comics to create this. But again, I mean, that still does not take away from the fact that like you have women of color here on the island and they're being underutilized.
Right.
Like grossly underutilized. So, exactly. Because it means nothing. And then you see no women of color at all for the rest of the film. Like,
you don't. Which sort of makes a little sense, like, because they're all in World War I battleground, I guess. I don't know. In London, they could have showed a bit.
But then no men of color either. Well, I mean, I should say there was there was 2 men of color, Native American character, and then what was he, like, Middle Eastern or?
Yeah, he's Middle Eastern.
But that that was it.
You got to see like a lot of Indian soldiers and like a couple of African soldiers, and then that was pretty much it. But like there were a lot of women of color nurses in both of the world wars, so that could have been there. But
Ooh, that would have been great.
I guess like, you know, all the women of color were on Themyscira, which actually makes sense because if I had the option and I lived back then,
I'm gonna go to the Themyscira, right? Like, like
why would you go anywhere else?
I have a question about one of like many pet peeves I have with this movie, and I'm wondering what y'all think. One of my weird problems with it, and it's a slight one, is that I personally don't think that the Central Powers would have killed any of the Amazons in that fight. I thought that the fight that happens when they're tailing Steve, and then they end up fighting all the women, I was like, none of the women should have died at all. Like they're freaking Amazons.
Yeah,
all they do is train to fight. Yeah. That's all it's their lives. And even though and I want to say I love that scene. Like I love the like, you know, jump, flip, triple arrow shooting. Like that was great. I have no qualms with that scene necessarily. But I was like, I didn't really think that any sacrifices need to be made, because if they had come out killing that entire troop of Germans, I would have been like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They would have done that because all they do is prepare for these types of invasions.
But do you think that they were showing the angle of like gunfire, like basically saying, okay, you guys are not trained in how, like, as trained or well versed in how to combat gunfire?
Yeah, but I mean, they all they do is read books.
I'm just wondering. I'm
and
just
fight each
asking.
other. No, like
Right.
I thought about that, but I almost felt like that would be an even better opportunity to show that their ways, however, like, you know, weirdly antiquated in certain ways that they're like, you know, fighting science is, that they would still kick the most ass anyway because they're that focused.
I mean, they've been alive for a long time. So,
Yeah, it's a really long time.
like a really long time. So then, I don't know, maybe if they got shot, they'd heal. That could have been something, but I feel like the deaths were more of a plot reason than an actual in-world reason. Yeah. It was just plot.
But I don't like that. I don't like that because, like, enough women have died for plot, like, in past movies. So they didn't really have to do that here to, you know, as a result, or maybe specifically because this is a Wonder Woman movie. No, I feel like, no, the women that died there were there to give impetus to Diana's journey. But there's a part of me that didn't want that. That wanted, you know what, write a better impetus if you need one. You know, rather than
that's
dying.
so true.
Well, maybe if we had women writers on this too, we would have had a different story.
Bingo!
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say,
Because,
and if we had women on the team writing.
Yeah, you need a hero to be born in violence, and that's what happened with her. So
they would pay attention to that type of detail for sure.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, because you'd think they developed some kind of Kevlar. I mean, they've been alive for a long time.
You know, you know what, they would show up and be like, okay, they have these weapons we're not super familiar with, but like we'll just rally, or we'll figure it out because we're that, you know, quick-witted and battle smart that we can be like, okay, we have to deal with them this way. And for the most part, they do. Like, they kick their asses. I'm not trying to front. Like, they totally kick their asses. But I would have preferred if they had just come up with a different reason to compel Diana's journey. I don't think it would have been that hard.
I mean, you would think that if they were so into training for this war that may or may not happen, they would have, you know, kept tabs on how war is improving or how it's, you know,
they would have read up on
changing in the world. They'd be like, okay, we've moved from bows and arrows to guns. Let's figure out how to incorporate this into our fighting style.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't that hard to get to the island.
Right.
No, it's true. That's true. They just got in. They just got in there.
Yeah, I mean, they just rode in. That's why when her mom was like, if you leave, you can't come back. I'm like, these dudes just rode.
But I'm curious to know.
I can come back. It's easy.
He just put his hand through the shield and came right through.
I'm curious to know, though, Robin Wright's character, it's Antiope? Antiope? Does she die in the comic book?
I don't know.
Because that's what I'm wondering, if, you know, she had to die because that they were trying to honor that. Because, it did feel like a fridging moment when they had her, you know, sacrifice that bullet for, you know, Diana's story to move forward. But then, you know, they fridged Steve's character as well, so... Which we don't get to see often. It's usually the women that get that. So...
I actually have a question about that. So, like, I was trying to wonder the second time I saw this, why exactly did he have to blow up the plane?
Wasn't he trying to sacrifice saving people's lives by flying over and letting the plane blow up?
So when he was like, it has to be me, I have to sacrifice my life for this, I was like, technically you don't. Like, you could just, you know, like, have one of the guys or shoot one of the guys and let the plane just do its own thing. Some gas had to have gotten out either way.
But he was trying to get the plane away from large groups of people.
But if it was all going to burn up in the flame anyway, then why not just evacuate the base and let it blow up?
There are some...
Yeah.
I also think that he could have got his parachute.
I kind of nodded off on part of that scene. So.
He could have gone the parachute. And this is the same thing. This is like Steve Rogers crashing the plane into the Arctic. It's like, actually, when you think about it, you could have gone out of this, but you didn't. So,
I mean, I understand that they wanted to use his death to fuel obviously like Diana's change and like to really become quote unquote Wonder Woman, which I have issues with because she was clearly already Wonder Woman.
Well, also to see what love was, right? That
exactly.
whole
love and loss.
Right.
I think they're trying to teach her in order to fuel her mission even further.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe just say that. Just say, listen, I have to die, Diana, because this is going to make you... I don't know. Like, I feel like
she already lost so much. She lost her
So
home.
have him shoot himself in the head instead.
She did.
She lost her auntie.
She can't go back. She can also definitely go back. She did lose her aunt. So
he gives her the watch. He's like, this is for your character development. But no.
I'm ready to be fridged now.
I get it. I was hurt when Chris Pine died too, because I was like, no, don't take Chris away.
I knew he was gonna die. Like when they said he was in the film, I was like, his character will die immediately. Like I knew even before they said anything, because I was like,
because they were together. So had he lived, we would have seen her with him in BVS, right?
She would. Well, no, because he's human and he's old.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been dead by then.
He would have been dead.
You know, it's interesting. I feel like the movie slightly hints at the idea that he would do that because he's really crushed when they discover that the entire village was killed. Mm-hmm. Like he takes that on him. Like he thinks that's his fault. So like if he's gonna end up doing this kind of this like suicidally martyrous kind of action, it's almost like I think like he hates himself for them having assumed that the village would be okay, like that everybody was going to party and it was going to be great because Diana threw some tanks, So yeah, I almost feel like he just felt super guilty about that thing, and they kind of show that. That doesn't really really make
doing it. Yeah, that was totally in character of him to do it. Like I wasn't surprised that he did it.
But it was kind of weird.
Yeah,
it was. Also, though, I have to say that one of my just personal favorite scenes is when they're in the hotel room and he's getting ready to leave, but they actually say no words. Yes. And then he stays. I thought that was beautifully shot. Because clearly it was just their eyes. I thought it was really well acted, but no words were said for like a solid 5 minutes. And I thought, oh, this is stunning. So that was one of my favorites.
Like they could have gotten a little bit more explicit with this, and they did. And I'm like, and that was beautiful that they just left it there.
Exactly. And then also that it wasn't anything to discuss the next day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they went about their business per usual. Okay, we need to save the world. The end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's move forward.
There was some annoying moments with Steve where his male ego kicked in and he's telling Diana to just stay here.
Stay back. Okay,
I'm like,
first off, she is like bulletproof, life-proof. Like, I don't understand why you're telling her to stay here. You need to be like, okay, Diana, whatever you want to do, I'm actually just going to follow along because I value my life and I want to stay alive, and you can protect me.
Yeah, it's like it's at this point he knows that she's superhuman and that she can kick ass. Like she's already proved it. What do you need to keep her safe for? Like, dude, you need to stay back, and she needs to protect you.
Yeah, pretty much everyone just needs to let her do her thing, and they just need to listen.
But that was a real moment when you think about it, because like I said, like that's the male ego. So no matter what, that's gonna kick in, even if it doesn't seem logical.
That's interesting because I feel like that when it came to her interactions with Diana in public, there was a thing with me that I was annoyed by the fact that like, look, she's intelligent. Just be like, listen, you can't carry around your sword and shield because everybody's gonna like try to arrest you or think something's going on. Like he very rarely explains the entire situation to her in the movie, but that can be justified with the fact that he's a dude and like even though he knows how powerful she is, there's this part of him that's just like, you need to be protected and sheltered from the truth. So that kind of does have justification within the context of the movie that I can't be too mad at.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of times while watching where I was just like, why don't you just speak to her like she's another intelligent human being? And then like you don't have to like play this game where you're like, no, come here, don't go that way, come here. Yeah. But he's also like a dude in like the early part of the 20th century, which I guess this is just difficult for him to comprehend that. Maybe.
Well, definitely when they were walking down the street and he was like, cover yourself up. Okay, you could explain to her that like at this time women have a certain type of dress. And right now you are not really wearing hardly any clothing, and you're drawing a lot of attention, and we're just trying to make sure. I mean, he could have just given her an explanation versus like just slamming her jacket shut and being like, come with me.
You know what? When he wasn't in character as a spy, he was super awkward. I just think Steve doesn't know how to use his words. Because like when he was playing Spy Steve, like in doing the mission, he was really good. Every other time, it's like, I can't explain what's happening. I'm just going to say, I'm going to do this. Follow me. Maybe this is going to work. Maybe this is not going to work. Oh, cover me. He said that a lot. Cover me, but never explaining to the guys what he's going to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cover me. I'm basically just going to die. Cover me.
He didn't say anything to the guys about why he needs cover or what he's going to do. They figured it out probably because they've been following him for years, and he never explains a damn thing. He just runs off and does it.
Not every spy is intelligent, so contrary to popular belief.
That is so true. So true.
There's some dumb spies out there.
Yeah.
I really like that line from Samir. It was kind of a woke line about him being an actor. And
I love that.
That was a great moment. I was just like, okay.
He was just
real.
like, he was like, we are all fighting our own battles. We can't always do the things we want to do, not in this day and age. And I was like, wow.
That was one of the most profound, actually, moments.
It was.
Yeah, that was really, really good. No, like, and the Motley Crew, like this crew of like people, like they're all interesting. Like Brave Rock, I thought was like a really interesting character who, man, I mean, this is the anti-Slipknot from Suicide Squad. Like he almost like practically, reinvigorated First Nation people in a DC movie and like erased. Was that his name, Slipknot
I didn't see
Suicide
it.
The guy who like exists just to die. He is First Nation, and he has like 2 lines in the movie, and then he gets killed.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
I think it was I believe his name was Slipknot, and that was an awful moment for First Nation actors in comic films.
Yeah.
Period. And I thought Brave Rock, like overall, I mean, like Brave Rock has like probably my second favorite moment in that movie where where he's talking to Diana in his language. And she knows it because she knows all these like various languages. Right. And then they kind of discuss the irony of like his presence there, but his, kind of heroic self-realization within it. That was pretty, man. See, the movie has these moments like that where I'm like, okay, this is really leaps and bounds past any other attempt that DC has made towards representation. This does put Wonder Woman in a different light, those moments, because I couldn't imagine like the Saeed moment happening in BVS, for instance.
Oh, like, God, no.
Could not imagine it.
You know what I actually really liked about the Motley Crew is that they had, all of them, even Steve, they had every reason to be the horrible, dark, broody characters we've seen in all the DC movies because of what they went through and what they've seen, but they weren't. They all were hopeful, and they were all willing to go out there and give everything for this fight. And then we don't really see that in the other movies. It's always a struggle. It's always life is horrible and dark, and I don't really want to be here, but now I have to be here. These guys are like, I'm choosing to be here. I'm choosing to stay here and do this fight. And I'm choosing to be here with, these guys, with my brothers that I've been here with. And that was kind of beautiful to see that. Like, they were, I wouldn't say super positive, but they were still laughing with each other. That scene where they thought they were all going to die, and then they're like huddled together and holding on to each other. I'm like, oh my God, that was so beautiful. Don't kill them, please.
That is really profound. I hadn't thought about that, but like, I mean, then this goes back to like the philosophy you were describing about how the movie is not dour and significant.
Yeah. That was a horrific war. It was a horrific war. Mm-hmm. And then they had every reason to be dark and horrible characters.
Right. They all should have been Batman.
They all should have gravelly voices everywhere.
Except
yelling
they're not
at Diane, you don't know. I don't know what happened.
My parents died. Yeah, no, you're
right in front of me on this field. Mustard gas everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's so like, yeah, like I mean, in that way, like those notes, those expressed notes in the movie are consistent. They are remarkably consistent, and it's hard to be mad at that, even in light of a third act Dragon Ball Z pointless villain.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it was Dragon Ball Z fight. It was so long.
Oh god, yeah. It was like those Dragon Ball Z episodes where they spend half the fight preparing and then the episode ends and you're like, you didn't even fight yet.
Like the fight takes 6 episodes at minimum.
Man.
That was the kind of fight. And then there are too many speeches. So many speeches. Why?
Yeah.
There was a lot of finesse hair moments. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but
Yes.
there was
Explain that.
there's a lot of moments where Gal's like looking at the camera, or she turns her head and her hair is just waving, and you could see like
Perfect.
they probably had fans in the background just having her hair just flow, and I was just like, it's okay to do that, but they did that several times throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, this is not a finesse hair commercial, guys. Don't do this.
And
I did notice that.
I couldn't agree more with that. When I was talking to Joy about the movie, I was saying, and this is one of those things where I find fault in the movie for a thing it didn't do, which is not really fair. But like, one of my things was that I wanted more imagery in the film of this perspective of Diana standing in the face of like a massive, incomprehensible danger, but like, resolute. And she's ready to face the danger because like she has this power and she can contend with it. But like most of those moments in the movie were a shot of, a pinup shot of Wonder Woman straight on, like face on, just staring at her for like 15 seconds, breathing heavily and like want to do something. And I'm like, no, I want to see the thing that she's unafraid of. Like, I don't want to see her. I've seen her. We've seen her through the whole movie. Like, I want to see her like just like not scared of something and seeing the something that should by all accounts scare her but doesn't. And the movie doesn't do that a lot. And I mean, it probably like the time the movie frames her in that way probably the most is like in the tank scene, which is great, which I don't have a problem with. But most of the time, you're right. There are like Pantene commercials of like just like on a Wonder Woman, and it's like, I mean, it's fine. She looks cool, and she looked cool in BVS in her moment where she did the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. But like, I wanted a little a shift in that camera angle to kind of capture the energy that she's expressing more than just face on her face, her hair.
So like the slow-mo walk through the no man's land, that
right.
Where the bullets magically only come where she can deflect them with her wrist guards.
Yeah. Well, see, I created headcanon that her wrist guards are magnetized and they just absorb the bullets.
So is her shield magnetized too? Because I don't understand how that machine gun was firing at her and only hitting that small shield.
Because the Central Powers and the German soldiers, they don't shoot feet. It's a very specific thing.
You know what? That's right. I forgot about that.
It's a policy.
I forgot about that. Yeah. It was cool to see, though. It was cool.
It was.
Even though I was like, why is she not getting shot in the legs? But I was like, you know what? It's still cool. Look at that.
Okay, all right. What's y'all's favorite fight scene? Because mine was the one where, like, at the end of it, she kicks the guy out the window. The one that's like in where are they at the end? Vermeer or the German place in the end, where she has the indoor fight where like the signature of the fight is her like jump kneeing a guy out a window. That's my favorite fight of the movie. What's your favorite fight of the movie?
I don't know. I really liked the fight when they like trail Steve and they're in the Mascara and just with all the Amazonian women. I thought it was really, really well done.
That was good.
That was so good. Just the arrows and I don't know, running from the horse. All of that was just so cool.
They jumped down like a 200-foot cliff to fight.
Right.
No fear.
Yeah, they just like leaped down it. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, just seeing the training sequences in Themyscira just was amazing to watch. I just love seeing women kick ass and kick each other's ass. So that was really like my most entertaining fight sequence was definitely the first act of the movie.
Oh, and they were all so supportive of each other. It's a small thing, but we don't usually see that in these superhero movies because they usually only have like the single girl surrounded by men.
Right.
And then even though it was like a small part of this movie, you just got to see a group of women who were all fighting together and supporting each other. And you didn't see them like being jealous of each other, annoyed by each other, hating each other. You know those things that they love to put in movies? Just, a really nice, supportive environment with a lot of kick-ass.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really profound. It was because like that scene is like women impressing each other.
And
That's,
exactly,
like,
they're not fighting for anyone else except them.
Yeah. That's very true.
And they're not being forced to fight, because a bunch of men are watching them. So.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We weren't in Themyscira long enough. We probably would have saw some cat fights later. Some reality TV moments, some hair pulling going on. We didn't hang out there long enough to see all that.
I'm wearing this breastplate today. You don't get to wear this breastplate. This is my day.
Yeah.
I get. At the end, we just need the Themyscira movie. That's just
Yeah, we really do.
That's what I want. I want that to be the sequel, World War II. I need.
So yeah, I was about to say, what do you guys think the sequel will be?
Other than World War II, I can't really imagine. Where else is she gonna go?
They're not gonna do World War. I don't know. I
hope they don't.
Modern day. They're gonna.
I don't think they would.
Yeah.
I hope they don't. But they love the wars. They're so flashy.
They'll probably tie a lot of stuff in from Justice League into her sequel.
Oh God,
which is present
I keep
day.
forgetting that Justice League is happening so close. Like that, it's just right. I mean, it's basically right around the corner, and I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably right. There's probably going to be a lot of elements that we'll see in Justice League that'll fuel Wonder Woman 2.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
do you think that they're gonna adjust Justice League at all into Wonder Woman's reception? They just don't have the time, and they're not.
It's done.
The Suicide Squad.
What do you mean?
Suicide Squad was 11th hour, and then they were like, no, it needs to be funnier because everybody hated BVS. Like, do you think they're gonna make any nudge on Justice League, or are they gonna be like?
I think it's
people
too late
like Wonder
for that.
Woman?
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late for that. Unless they're like, no, why would they do that?
No. Because they still think Wonder Woman was a fluke. So.
Yeah. When did they add that to Suicide Squad?
I know that I don't know. I don't think it was this late to Suicide Squad. I do know that they took it back to the editing room and delayed it because they were like, oh no, everyone hated BVS and we needed.
I thought they did that before BVS though.
Did they? I thought it was after.
I thought it was before because BVS came out in what? April? And then Suicide Squad came out
September.
I thought it was August. I thought it came out in August. I'm like, that's a really short turnaround time.
I think it was, but I think it was specifically. Now you're making me want to Google this. I'm fairly sure that Suicide Squad.
They did do edits. Yeah, they did do edits at the last minute once they
edits, but I'm not sure
heard
if it was
about. No, it was because they heard BVS wasn't well
received. So then.
Yeah, they were really mad at that. They're mad that BVS didn't make $1 billion. That's such a thorn in their craw. That they hate that so much that it didn't make $1 billion.
I mean, look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's way too late for them to make any tweaks to Justice League. So it's
I think you're right.
They'll have to just take that L if it gets. I mean, I want Justice League to actually be good. I don't want to be one of those folks that just hate on DC movies because it's in style to be like, oh, it's going to suck. I want it to be a good movie, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm hoping that it is too. I'm hoping.
I mean, Wonder Woman's in it, so we know that portion of the movie is going to be good.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Wait, who are they fighting? Did they say that?
I don't think they revealed
questions that need answers.
Yeah,
I think they're fighting internet film critics.
You know what?
They're fighting Rotten Tomatoes. That's
right.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't think they've revealed much, and even the trailer during Wonder Woman wasn't any different from anything I've already seen.
It's the same.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I was hoping that they were going to do something.
Because that was a big mistake that BVS did with the trailer. I mean, they basically revealed the death of Superman, in that trailer. There was so much with revealing Zod and showing, they showed a lot. So maybe they've learned their lesson since then.
We'll see, I guess.
Well, I will say that an article was just released today that reports are claiming that Justice League has undergone extensive reshoots because the studio is worried. Because the studio is worried and they're trying to salvage the project.
God. Can they get Jason Momoa out of that armor? I would really appreciate that if they're going to start reshooting things. Can they make that one change for me?
They're going to have Momoa Beefcake. Are you kidding?
It's not even the
That's
beefcake.
fine with me.
The armor itself bothers me on so many levels.
You know what?
The
armor itself is not even logical. He's Aquaman. What do you need armor in the water for?
Why are you not streamlined? There's like ridges and things all over the place. It looks so heavy. Like if you threw him in, he'd immediately sink.
They should have just had like tattooed, like armor looking stuff on him. Like it was just, you know what I'm saying? Like
good.
it looked like armor, but it's tattooed on his body.
Like he was in Batman vs. Superman. That little scene. Just something cool.
Because he was in the water.
They're doing both.
Can't have armor in the water.
They're doing both. Yeah, exactly. So I think that you will see parts of him like with the tattooed kind of, and then other parts with the armor on. When he's on land. When he's on land, I think he's just when he's going to be wearing the armor.
That armor is just so ugly. It's so ugly. Oh my God.
Mel, don't say that they're going to do edits again. They're going to delay it. You just said that. And now there's like 6 interns at DC running through a hallway. They're like, no, BGN wants tattoo armor. BGN hates the armor. We're doing the whole thing over.
Please do. And then I hate Batman's armor.
Oh gosh.
I hate everything about Cyborg's look.
A lot of people don't like it. It looks very CGI-ish. I mean, it's just like,
bad CGI.
Can't they use any practical effects with that costume?
They don't like practical effects.
He looks a little goofy. He looks a little bit like not quite like. He looks a little bit like a bad edit of like a Mortal Kombat fatality. Mm-hmm. Like a little bit of that kind of like funny, like CGI not there-ness. Yeah, that's.
It's like Ares' armor. It's just, why did you do this?
You're right.
It's exactly that.
Yep.
Man.
They always go for the big, bulky, obviously CGI look, and it just does not work.
Yeah, but
you don't have to always be like that.
His costume doesn't even look bulky. It just looks like it's barely there, like it's hanging on by a thread. I think somebody compared him to Ultron. They said he looked like Ultron. Ultron looked better, though, so I don't know. I don't know.
So many issues with that movie, too, but...
All right, this turned into the Justice League fan cast.
This turned into the Justice League wish list. Guys, if you're listening, can you change this?
Yes, please keep it under 3 hours. Please. Then I might
makes no promises. Makes no promises.
That's what I told someone. I'm like, this movie could be 6 hours long. I mean, Batman vs. Superman was 3 hours, and it was just the two of them. 0.5 with Wonder Woman. But and then look at this. They got all the crew out there. It could be 6 hours. It could be like a full work day watching this movie.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Wonder Woman?
I'm actually really excited to see the sequel. Like, I'm excited about the direction that they go in. I do hope that they get writing staff for the second film, so we can get a different angle and perspective this time. I still can't say overall whether or not I like it over Man of Steel. Like, I really do like Man of Steel as well, and the villain in Man of Steel is better. So it's just, for me, I'm not entirely sure. They might just be neck and neck, for sure. But they're definitely, I mean, Batman versus Superman is like number 97 on my list. So, I mean, anything is better than that, for sure. And it was stunning. So I'm going to, the feminist in me is going to put Wonder Woman at number 1 and Man of Steel at number 2. But really, they're kind of neck and neck. Like, I think that they're good origin stories for the characters, like good springboards for sure. I'm just ready to see more Amazonian women.
I don't know. I think Wonder Woman handled the character better. Like the character, like the essence of the character. I think that was my problem with Man of Steel once I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute.
What do you mean, like her heart? Like,
yeah.
I got you. Yep.
Well, like they got the
essence of
who Wonder Woman is. Whereas
like who
with
Diana
Superman,
really is.
yeah, they started getting the essence of who Superman is, and then they remembered that they have to be dark and broody. So they needed to introduce some darkness into this movie. Where, Superman is mostly hopeful hero.
That didn't bother me about Man of Steel. I mean, I get why people were upset because he had the whole emo thing going on, but that didn't really bug me. Those long extended fight scenes and that unnecessary property damage and those long edits, that's what bothered me about Man of Steel, but I'm okay with emo Superman.
It's pretty. I just want a hopeful hero. I mean, like, things are so dark right now. They're so dark.
We've got Guardians,
Yeah.
got those movies.
Yes.
I think Captain Marvel is probably going to be, like, and then we've got Ant-Man. Those are pretty peppy.
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So,
I think
Marvel's helping us with that, basically. DC, you're not going to get that. You're not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we know DC TV is way better than DCEU, so let's.
Yeah.
At least we have something.
Except for the Killing Joke, that was awful. But everything else is going along. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my hope for the sequel is if you're going to introduce women of color, especially black women, you better not make them the villains. That's not what we asked for.
You know what? I'm okay with seeing black women as villains. I just want to see more of us in all types of roles. I don't want it to just be the one DC movie and they have just one black woman as a villain. But
that's what I'm afraid that they're going to do.
Yeah,
like, if they're going to introduce a woman of color, she's going to be the woman that Wonder Woman is squaring off against, who's obviously evil, and then Wonder Woman has to take her down. And it's like, look at that evil woman of color, which is what we see too much.
Yeah, but I honestly, like, Amanda Waller was a refreshing thing to see. So, and I know debatable to some folks if she's a villain or an anti-hero, but for me, I wanted to see way more Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad than what we actually got. So
yeah,
I did too.
I'm here for it.
She straddles the line just like Ares.
Yeah.
in true Greek mythology. But I think that Amanda Waller was very refreshing. To me, like, her and Deadshot were the best two things in Suicide Squad for me.
Yeah. But I'm with you, Mel. Like, I really do want to see more women of color in the next Wonder Woman film. I mean, everybody else get to see themselves reflected so much, and that's great.
Yeah.
But they have the opportunity for this intersectionality, and it's not like it's, straying away from the comics, because the comics, it's very diverse and Themyscira. So why they didn't show that in this first film, I don't know, but hopefully we'll see more of that in the sequel. Yeah.
I think that we will. I'm hopeful, honestly. It's
just like they keep going on and on about how little girls finally have a hero to look up to, and they show all these pictures of little girls looking at, Diana's posters and being all happy. And it's like, oh, I can be Wonder Woman too. Well, I'd like a little black girl to look up at a hero and say, I could be so-and-so too. I don't want to, just to have another woman of color villain. Which is cool too, but in this specific case, I do not want Diana to be facing off against a woman of color, and that's the only role for a woman of color in this movie is to be the main villain. That's it.
No, I don't think they'll go down
give
that
us
path.
more
I don't
of the
want
senator. Give us more
Philibus.
I think is another black female character in the Wonder Woman universe, and then of course give us Nubia. I don't even know of any black woman characters in DC that are villains.
Aside from
Waller.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
But they could make one. They could be like, oh, look, Nubia is facing off against Diana. Nubia's evil.
Well, that has happened in the comic. Yeah, they did kind of have a face-off moment.
So they could make her the evil twin in the next movie.
I don't think so.
Both of Clay. I don't know. I don't trust people.
You're like,
well, then, make her the evil twin, and then she becomes good, and then we'll see more of her in future sequels. I just want to see us, heroes, villains,
like you want to start somewhere.
Supporting characters, everything.
No, I mean, I think like what you're talking about is something that comes up on Black Comics Chat all the time, which is if you want to avoid tokenism, have more people of color. That's it. It's a very simple solution. Yeah. If you don't want to have the iconic, only black woman character in the movie who was also the villain and you're afraid of tokenism, just have more black women in the movie. And then if you're a black villain, you're fine. It's not that hard. Yeah, I mean, all right. So I have like a weird thing with Wonder Woman because on the whole, I have so many problems with the movie. I also like it's one of those things where, as far as seeing the hype and like experiencing the hype, when I see people like totally head over heels for the movie, like I'm not mad at them for being totally head over heels because I do think that there's a lot to appreciate and a lot to feel kind of this sense of final satisfaction about.
Yeah.
I do think the movie has like a lot of problems which affect me because I'm hypercritical.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I feel like I'm a jerk to comic book movies in general, which is fine. I'll accept that. I'll admit that. And I don't, I think that does ground me in a certain way. And maybe like I'm less patient with a lot of aspects, but the positive things that we're talking about in this chat, like even with my grumpy ass, are none of those things where I'm just like, no, that's not fair. Or, no, it's still bad or whatever. No, you're totally right. And this is such a different. This is such a change of pace for DC. Do I think that pace is going to be maintained? I highly doubt it.
Mm-mm.
I really do. If it is maintained, I may be warmer to like their next few releases, especially releases centering on women, because they've made a mark for themselves in this movie that even Marvel can't dare to say.
True.
And it's pretty significant for old Detective Comics. So yeah, I like, you know what, y'all super happy about Wonder Woman? Stay happy. I'm not going to come burst any balloons. I don't feel like it's my place. I don't feel like it's worth it because I agree with y'all wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think we all agree. Like, it has made really great strides, but there's still more work to be done.
Yeah.
Period. And hopefully in Wonder Woman 2, they're going to tell it after, hopefully we'll see more of that. A lot more of that.
So Patty, if you're listening, we want to see ourselves in the sequel, is what we're saying. We want to see ourselves. So, well, great.
As full characters.
As fully actualized
Names.
characters. Yes.
Names, speaking.
Yep.
More than just one line. I mean, the senator,
Yes.
really? You give the senator one line? Really? Okay.
It was more than I expected, though, so.
Yeah,
True that.
yeah.
True that.
And
Sadly.
overall good film.
Sadly.
So,
But overall, yeah, great. And, congratulations to Patty Jenkins
Yes.
for pulling this off, because I know there
Absolutely.
was probably a lot of pressure, and, she did the damn thing. So
She made this movie out of a script written by 3 men. I mean, that is
impressive
Yeah.
enough.
Yep.
Right. And I'm
With
hoping this time
little
she gets
support.
the team. And that's what I was just about to say. Next go around, because they get down so many barriers, even though I'm not hopeful, I'm hoping next go around she gets more of what she wants, like more of the writing team that she wants, more assistance, all the things that she deserves this go around. But again, we knew she had to prove herself, quote unquote. So yeah.
Oh, you know what? I hope they don't replace her with a guy.
No, they're not.
No, she's going to
okay.
do sequel.
Contractually,
Yeah.
she's contractually obligated to do the sequel. So that is something we love. No, absolutely not. So I'm thankful.
We will riot if that happened anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody would riot at this point.
Yeah, and we would make sure to get her back on board.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for taking time out of your schedules to talk about Wonder Woman. And it is currently in theaters nationwide, so check it out if you haven't done so already. And thanks so much for listening. Bye.
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 That was a HeadGum podcast.